I just hit publish on the Homeschool Mama Self-Care Podcast, this week's episode titled 5 Creative Ways to Design a Homeschool Mom's Personal Vision. And I'm looking forward to you listening to that. I want to hear what your feedback is on this one. It's, I think, a conversation point we don't have enough for the homeschool mom. We usually talk about creating a homeschool vision statement. I know I did a few weeks ago, also on the podcast. But today I published 5 creative ways to design a homeschool mom's personal vision. And I'll tell you why it's so important when you head over to Apple or Spotify and take a listen. But you probably already know. Maybe one of the reasons is because you recognize that your kids are growing and eventually they're going to grow up. And so that has been my experience these past few weeks as we brought our third daughter to college, and things are looking a whole lot different these days. But I want to jump in here and encourage you to join me in the Homeschool Mama Book Club. I've got my handy stack of books that we're going to be discussing this year. Yes, these books. Specifically books that are for homeschool, also books that are for personal growth, because that's what we're here for, is to help you in your wellness and your self-care journey. And as I was doing some writing as to why I think it would be a benefit to homeschool moms to join a book club, I've realized you're reading read-alouds, you're doing all sorts of reading, but not necessarily books for you. Or if you are reading books for you, you're probably not getting to this many books. Can I hear an amen? I know, because I've been there. And also, these are books that I have read in the past, and I reread so that I keep it fresh for each of our book clubs every month. So what we do is rotate between personal growth books and then homeschool books, or vice versa. And I think it can be a great resource for us in our own personal growth. But when I was doing my writing, I realized that I'm always referring to homeschool mamas, M-A-M-A, mama. And mama could stand for Moms Advancing Minds at Home. How cool is that? It isn't just your mind, it's your kids' mind, but it's not just your kids' minds that you're advancing at home, it's also yours. And so that's why I think a virtual book club would be beneficial. Now, one of the reasons why I think it's useful for you to come away from your family for even just an hour every month is because you're coming away from your family 1 hour a month and you need that separate space. Sometimes it helps you build community. Sometimes it just helps you to think your thoughts or have adult thinking kind of thoughts. Obviously, it's intellectual stimulation, it's personal growth, or at least it'll foster personal growth, social interaction, certainly critical thinking skills, because we'll be talking about sometimes deeper things. And in our Homeschool Mama book club, the focus is on the individual that will be there. So if you have different perspectives than I do, that's great. Bring it. We can all share space together and learn from each other. So critical thinking skills and I'd say stress relief, because sometimes just sharing space with other moms who've been doing this thing and they know our lifestyles and they know what we want for our family, sharing common values in this homeschool lifestyle. I think it feels like you're building something bigger than just the contents of your homeschool routine or the contents of your homeschool schedule. You're doing more for you and really for your kids when you're doing stuff for you. It's also cost effective because here's why. I know you're not going to actually read every book. Do you know why I know? Because I've been doing this homeschool thing for a long time, and there ain't no way I'm reading one book every month. At least that's me. But here's the thing. You don't have to read the book. I'll read the book, and we'll have a great discussion on the book. Or you can, of course, read the book. So I'm going to introduce you to a few of these books. This first one here, The Homeschooling Option, How to Decide When It's Right for Your Family by Lisa Rivero, is the reason I'm homeschooling this book right here. I picked up on a lark in a bookshop on a vacation. I had zero intention to homeschool. I hardly knew what it was. And so I happened to see it. I had some extra time, which never happened then, but it did for about an hour. I had extra time and I took a look at this book and I thought, that's great. The Homeschooling Option, How to Decide When It's Right for Your Family. I'm going to finally decide why I'm not homeschooling. And I will read this through and I will have my arguments and I will have discussions with the people that were homeschooling in my world. And then I would tell them, this is why I'm not homeschooling. Oh, the irony. So we'll definitely discuss that book. I really should have Lisa on my podcast, hey, since she kind of had a bit of an impact on me. And of course, I'm going to introduce you to this oldie but goodie. It's a classic. If you have ever had a relationship challenge, if you have ever thought, I might have some work to do in my personal growth to show up in relationship on purpose, this is a basic building block for your personal growth bookshop or book list. It's called Growing Yourself Up, How to Bring Your Best to All of Life's Relationships by Jenny Brown. I think I'd say this is really a basic, because what it essentially says is who you are in relationship is deeply going to affect how you have a relationship or how you experience the relationship. My podcast name is Homeschool Mama Self-Care, Nurturing the Nurturer. You can find it on Apple or Spotify or all the podcasts. Of course, we're going to play with this book because who doesn't love Charlotte Mason? Like everybody loves Charlotte Mason. Charlotte Mason Education. This one specifically is by Catherine Levinson. I came across these in a homeschool conference early on in my days. It says a homeschooling how-to manual. And so here's the thing. If you know anything about me, you know that I definitely lean into child-led learning. I don't want to own a specific homeschool philosophy. I don't want to declare it. I probably tried them all over my couple decades of homeschooling. I like them all, and they all have benefits. And I'm not actually wed to any homeschool philosophy because I was never going to raise a homeschool philosophy. I was going to raise a homeschool child. So that was my goal. I didn't know that, by the way, when I first started. I really was wed to Susan Wise Bauer's homeschool philosophy in the first 3 years, and then discovered it doesn't work that way. But I love Charlotte Mason. I hope you do too. But we're going to dig deep into Charlotte Mason, a homeschooling how-to manual. It's tiny, but it's loaded with really great stuff. So we're going to do that. We're going to do my book, of course. Do you know why? One reason is because if you are part of the Homeschool Mama Book Club, I'm going to give this to you free, or parts of it free. Let me think. How did that work last December? We did it last December. I gave it away as a digital option. Was that right? Something like that. But anyways, this book, Homeschool Mama Self-Care, Nurturing the Nurturer, you can also find it on my website, capturingthecharmedlife.com, or the big A. Will not say its name. Project-based homeschooling, mentoring self-directed learners by Lori Pickert. This is, if you've come across this book, it's also an oldie but a goodie. Like there's some of those homeschool books where it doesn't matter when you started homeschooling, you gotta read the book. And this is one of them that I think was a really useful homeschool philosophy to really think about how can I make this fun? How can I make my homeschool fun? Because I don't know where you're at in your homeschool, but in the early years of homeschooling, for me, I was about how to get something done, not about how to have fun. And then as time moved on, I realized it wasn't just the kids that would get bored. I too would get bored. So we needed to make it fun. And when you learn how to create a unit study on a lark, or you learn how to do project-based homeschooling, you have more fun. So we're going to do a deep dive into project-based homeschooling. Also, I'm going to do a deep dive into Brendon Burchard. Have you heard of this author? He is amazing. His story is amazing. I found it incredibly encouraging where he began. I don't remember if this was his first book, but he had a significant car accident, which changed his life. And he went into a depression and felt overwhelmed by the things that were going on in his life. I don't know if that's been you or if you've had one of those really significant moments in your life. Probably you have, unless you're under the age of 15, even then you could. But when you've had a significant moment, you have a choice. You're going towards a direction that's going to benefit you and it's going to bring you greater growth and healing, or you're going to move into a direction that could make you bitter and resentful and more challenged, I would suggest. But here, and I don't know if you've ever met me or heard my story before, but I got a story too. And I love sharing that story, especially when I'm coaching one-on-one. Activating the 10 human drives that make you feel alive. Even when you listen to this guy on podcast, he actually sounds charged. He sounds very alive. He's lovely to listen to, and he has some really practical ideas on how we can, I would say, live our lives on purpose. We definitely have to get into this book. I have referred to John Holt so many times on my podcast. I have yet to officially write an article or a post about John Holt. I have one on John Taylor Gatto. I call them the Great J's. Here is John Holt, the author of Teach Your Own. Also Pat Farenga, we don't want to forget him because it's the two of them that wrote this together. It's the John Holt Book of Homeschooling, they called it. But the Great J's to me are John Holt, John Taylor Gatto, Julie Burchard, and Judy Arnall, which is another author that we will definitely discuss. She's the author of Unschooling to University. Have you heard about it? So she's living in a province next to me and has had many things to share about how to encourage self-directed education and your kids still go to university. She's got 5 kids, and I think 4 of them, maybe the 5th one, just started college this week. And a few of them have gone through, engineering or science degrees, math degrees, a variation of things there. But so they didn't do any formal type school, and they went from the unschooling to university. Very interesting book. Loads of ideas. She's got a lot to offer, even if you're not a self-directed learner, even if you don't want to unschool, totally good. Because remember what I said about homeschool philosophies? I don't care which homeschool philosophy anybody participates in, because I learned it didn't really matter. They're all cool. They all have lots of things to offer, but we're not wed to our homeschool philosophies. We are wed to educating our kids. Here is a book, a power-packed book that has nothing whatsoever to do with homeschooling. It's called The Untethered Soul, The Journey Beyond Yourself by Michael Singer. Even if you YouTube this fellow on YouTube, you're going to discover a few remarkable nuggets of wisdom in the things that he says. It really helps us as moms to be present. I don't know that we could ever accomplish whatever's in this book or the things that he's offered, but he says the untethered soul begins by walking you through your relationship with your thoughts and emotions, helping you uncover the source and fluctuations of your inner energy. It then delves into what you can do to free yourself from habitual thoughts, emotions, or energy patterns that limit your consciousness. And then to live a life in the freedom of your being present in the world. And it is a really challenging, very engaging book. Whatever your point of view or point of reference is in the world, how you see the world, like a worldview, any religious backgrounds, it just helps you to see where you are right now with your family, how you're engaging, and how to be more present. And the last book that I'm going to put up here, I took off the cover. It's called Hold Me Tight by Dr. Sue Johnson. A book about relationships, but a book about how to feel comfortable and secure and attached yourself. I have a big story on this one, a life story. Who we are as moms is very much influenced from who we were as kids and how we grew up and how we experienced our family and how we, played our specific parts in our families. And any unhealed elements of who we are is influencing how we're showing up in our homeschools today, in our family lives today. This doesn't even have to pertain to homeschooling. But since we're here on the Homeschool Mama Self-Care account, I'm usually talking to homeschool families. But this is a powerful book called Hold Me Tight and helps you to feel more secure and attached. And you know what happens when you feel more secure and attached? You are able to offer that to your kids too. There's nothing about personal growth in a homeschool mom's world that isn't directly contributing to also your homeschool kids. Everything that you do to heal, everything that you do to grow, all of those things are influencing your homeschool family. Ask me how I know. And anybody that has, at the end of their days, said that this homeschool life is challenging. Yeah, it is. And I have yet to discover that the homeschooling is difficult because I can't maintain a routine. No, it's difficult because I have unrealistic expectations about my routines often. Or homeschool is difficult because I can't find the right curriculum. No, there's a lot of curriculum out there. Can't afford the curriculum might be another answer, but you could also go to a lending library. Homeschool is difficult because people are criticizing your choices. Yes, but why do we care? Homeschool is difficult because of, kids not getting socialization. Trick question. No, that is not the answer. Sometimes it's homeschool mom not getting enough socialization, but not the kid. Homeschool is hard because we have to look inward and deal with our own stuff and grow and figure out what things are triggering us, or sometimes looking at the kids right in front of us and asking ourselves, what is it about this scenario or about this connection or this relationship that is making it challenging for me? It's not usually the person in front of you. There's something going on in here that has nothing to do with them. So I think personal growth is the number one reason that homeschooling can be challenging. But it also can be a beautiful life. And now that I have completed my homeschool journey and I'm walking alongside other homeschool moms, I want you to enjoy it. I want you to get out of your own way, because it usually is us getting in our own way, and enjoy this homeschool life, because it's pretty amazing when you learn how to have fun and really be present with your kids. If you're interested in the Homeschool Mama Book Club, I am happy to send you a link. You can take a look at it. It's once a month, usually the third Thursday of every month. It's $5 US a month. And if you buy a full year, it's actually less than $5, or it's you save 1 month, $5 US. I'll just show you the link and then you'll see what I mean. But it is a great way to build community, and it's a great way to grow. If you're interested, let me know, and I'll throw a link down below. I hope you have a great week, and we'll talk to you soon.